So we're still with 8s now, but this is student 8s. This is the Temple Challenge Cup. We've got Imperial College London A on the left-hand side of your picture and Caius Boat Club Cambridge on the right-hand side of your picture.
Yes, Caius not a club that's often represented in the regatta proper. They have a far less deep pool of athletes to draw on because it's a single college, and of course Imperial College has great pedigree at the regatta, and I think what we can see already is that they're stretching out. They've got at least 3/4 of a length right now, and rowing really quite nicely. Caius, I think Caius have gone off quickly, but perhaps not quite as cleanly as they need to.
Yeah, we'll catch up with this race now a little bit further down the course, and the advantage hasn't drawn out much further for Imperial, but they certainly are the more formed crew on the right-hand side there. As you say, Neil, Caius, a college of Cambridge University, they're only drawing from a college boat club call, and actually I'm informed that this crew basically all learnt to row at Caius, the majority of them. There are a couple of schoolboy rowers in there, but to learn to row at college and then to be performing on the highest stage here at this level at Henley Regatta, how amazing is that?
No, it's fantastic, and delighted for them that they've been able to come through qualifiers and secure their place in the regatta proper. The Temple is a very domestic event this year, of course. We have had a very strong domestic entry, far fewer overseas crews, and the Temple is an event which, generally speaking, in a normal year, is well attended by overseas crews, particularly from the US, and the effect of that is that it's allowed more opportunity for domestic crews, like Caius Boat Club, to race this year. Although Imperial aren't too far ahead, their blade work is tidy, there's a good punch at the finish. They're clearly a very well-drilled crew.
Yeah, they've been racing together since Bucks Regatta, where they were in the B final. Didn't quite make the A final, but as we've just said, very strong strength and depth across all of the universities locally in this event. But they are still up at 35 strokes a minute, which, again, I think Caius is still putting a little bit of pressure on them, somewhat. They've not shaken them off totally, and that's reflected by the rate that Imperial are having to hold rather than stride down to keep this advantage.
Yeah, you're right. Caius, I think, rating about 36. That's going to be hard work at this point, and it'll be interesting to see whether or not they can maintain efficiency at that kind of rate for the balance of the course. The Cox is certainly giving them a huge amount of encouragement from the Cox's seat. I think what they really need to do is lengthen out a little bit, and at this sort of stage it might be worth dropping the rate half a pip just for a little bit more length to see if that extra length can generate a bit more boat speed. At the moment, Imperial, yes, the rating is relatively high, but they still look reasonably comfortably within themselves.
Yeah, blade work ever so important, as well as the rating of the length here. We've already talked about the wind being sort of swirling and sort of pushing onto their backs in a bit of a headwind. And you can see the water either side. And actually one of the unique things about Henley, as well as wind, is the wash that you've got to add in. And later in the week we'll talk about that even more, I'm sure, on the commentary, as the sort of pleasure boats and things keep going up and down the side of the river, but it's bumpy, and so the blade work at the moment, if you compare side by side, Neil, is definitely with Imperial here.
Yeah, absolutely. And as you say, it is incredibly important. Good blade work is a reflection of good watermanship, and good watermanship is what helps get you through the bump and the swell and the slightly choppy water. It's not particularly choppy at the moment, and there isn't a huge amount of bump right now because the amount of powered river traffic is relatively low, but as you say, towards the end of the week that'll go up, and those crews that are well drilled, and quite often it's the tideway crews that are, because they have to, as Imperial College is a tideway crew, because they have to deal with that on a day-to-day basis on the tide. It's a large stretch of water, tidal, dealing with wind, bump, swell all of the time, and so that will stand them in good stead if conditions don't improve.
And actually, I think that, I know you were giving the advice to Keys, perhaps, that they needed to lengthen out and take the rating down a little bit, but Imperial on the right there, they've just taken it down another couple of pips. They're now at 33 strokes a minute. And actually, I think that's improved their blade work and their stability round the turn and moving back up on the recovery. They just look like they've got the body rocked together a little bit more by giving them that little bit more time.
Yes. In fact, what you can see there, there's good swing off the back end. There's good swing. There's fluid movement of the handle off the finish, back out to the knees, and that upper body is swinging nicely off the back end, giving them good run as they slide forward. That's nice. It's good to look at that crew paddling now. They've got it well in control.
Really nice coming into the enclosures. They just had that nerve to take the rating down a couple of pips, and say Keys kept the pressure on them, but that 2 pips lower across the line has just made them look like a standout crew in this Temple Challenge Cup event. Across the line for Keys College Boat Club, unfortunately we won't be seeing them later in the week, but a great race for the first half of the course for them to keep pressure on Imperial.